I also wanted you to realize that you get maxed out with active income.
Yeah.
Right? There's only so many hours in a day.
remember that.
For me to say you need to go do $5,000 now, it's almost like with everything else we had going on and the kind of stuff you were doing, it's like you realize, I don't even know if that's possible.
Exactly, yeah.
Unless we start doing things that can scale.
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jackie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. All right, this conversation's going amazing, so we're going to do a part 3, maybe a part 4, and we'll see.
Who knows?
Because you and I can talk shop all day.
All day, yeah.
About this. Okay, so you did $100 in a week, then it got matched. I think all of you accomplished it, right?
All of us accomplished it, yeah.
Then you guys did feel like you're rich.
Yeah,
and then we encouraged you to, and then we taught you how to actually manage your money, right?
Yeah.
What's that level of management?
Well, the first thing was sorting, right? And we were like, what's sorting? And you said, well, you have 4 compartments of money, right? You have the money that you spend, right? Like if you wanted to buy yourself something, like at the time it was like a doll or like or whatever, or a dress or something we wanted to buy. The next one is invest. And that one I didn't get for a while, but I remember you explaining it to us. You were like, that is money that you put into things that's going to make you more money. And until I got into my next business thing, I didn't understand that, but we'll talk about that. And then the next was savings. And I was like, but Dad, why would I save my money? I want to spend it all, right? And he'd be like, well, in the future, when you want to buy expensive stuff, and we didn't understand what that meant, right? But he was like, well, when you want to buy a car or a house or something really important to you, you're going to want the money that you saved up, right? And then the last was donate, right? What we give to God's house. And so what we did is we gave 10% to each of those 3 sections: invest, savings, and donate. And so how you told us is you just move the decimal point back one, right? And so then you take the money from there, you put those into your 3 compartments, and then you can spend all the rest of it. And so after we had, gotten the hang of sorting, kind of got it wrong a couple times, you guys helped us out, right? And then I had however much money left in my spending. And I was like, okay, what am I going to spend it on? And I had my eye on this really cute dress that cost a lot of money, but I knew it was really nice, right? And so I bought that. And I remember being so proud of it, right? I wanted to wear it everywhere I went because I remember I was like, okay, I bought this with my own money, right? And so all of us girls kind of got like a dress.
It's like you're walking around in your reward.
Exactly, yeah. And I was like, I'm showing off my reward. And people don't know how I got this, but I did it myself, right?
Totally.
And so then I ended up wearing it for family photos that year. And I remember being like, okay, now it's etched in history. I wore this dress, right? And so
so smart.
I know, right? And so it was a really, really fun way of learning how to sort our money, right? And then
which family pictures is it?
Gosh, it was our last ones in Wisconsin.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
those ones in the fall, and it was like an auburn dress kind of.
Oh.
And I remember really liking the ruffles on the back. But yeah, it was
super cool.
And now Ellie has it, and I'm like watching her wear it, and I'm watching my 11-year-old self wearing it, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
That's neat.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay. All right. And so that's really great. That's how you sorted the money. Mm-hmm. And then what was our next challenge?
Well, our next challenge I think a couple weeks after that one, it was going to be the new year. And yeah, because we did that one in fall. Yeah. And so it was going to be the new year. And you're like, okay, guys, you have 12 months. And the challenge is to make $1,000 in 1 year. And I was like, how many zeros are in 1,000? And I was like, oh my gosh, there's 3 zeros. And so I was stressing. And we had our little team meeting around the ping pong table again. And you guys discussed how we could go over this. You're like, but if you do it, you get $2,000. And I was like, 2,000?
Yeah, I would match it, right? I'd match it. And if it was above 1,000, I'd match whatever was above 1,000 also.
Yeah, you did. I remember that. And I remember it being feeling the same kind of fear as I felt doing the $100 goal, right? But then remembering the way I felt when I accomplished it, right? And so I was like, you know what? It's going to be worth it. I'm going to work really, really hard. Yeah. And so all of us accepted the challenge again.
Did this time, I don't remember, did we allow you still to do things for us?
We did to some extent.
Okay.
Because as we got older, there was new things, right? Like it was like cleaning up the entire shed downstairs, right?
Oh, okay.
Things like
so
that.
That's
Painting
right.
the house.
So I
things like that.
remember me and Mom, we discussed, it's like, we'll allow some things that we actually need to get done, but it for sure won't be $1,000 worth for each of you
Yeah.
kids. So this was like, I remember I had a main theme for what I wanted you to learn in each of these challenges. And
Yeah.
this one was that you're going to have to now start selling yourself to other people.
Others, yeah.
You're going to have to do stuff for other people. So you're going to have to convince them to pay you for certain things, right?
And so we all started getting really creative. And I remember I had this little, it was like Christmas time. And I got this little pack of like, it was a arts and craft kit that I got. And it was loom knitting a hat. So like you have this loom and you're like doing the stitches around it and things. And all I remember is really, really enjoying it and being like, you know, I just have seen people wearing hats. That means they have to buy them from somewhere, right? So I might as well sell them. Maybe people will buy them, right?
Yeah.
And so I started making all these cute little designs and I started taking orders. And like when we went to the different conferences that you guys would let us speak at, right? I would set up my little table in the back and you guys would be like, shout out to Chrissy, go get a hat from her, right? Started selling them there, started taking orders, and they really caught some fire. It was like really catching some momentum. And
Oh, that's right. I remember you had a backlog, didn't you? And you had to try to keep up. And
yeah,
Okay.
I did. And I'm like making hats and I'm like doing this. And there's so many pictures of me during that period of me with my loom sitting like watching the TV or like reading a book at the same time or whatever.
I remember that. I remember it was, because like Sundays we watch football together as a family or something like that. Most of us are kind of just vegging out watching, but you always were like doubling down on productivity. Like if we're going to be sitting somewhere, you might as well be doing this while you're doing it.
Exactly. Literally every single time I sat down, I was like, I need to go get my loom. And every time I like remembered and I always got it. And then again, that's where investment money came in, right? Because I was like, but Mom and Dad, I need to buy all the yarn and I need to buy my equipment, right? And it wasn't that much money, but I remember being like, do I use my spending money for this? Because that's what I use to spend on things, right? And they're like, no, you use your invest. I'm like, so what exactly is this invest thing, right? They're like, remember when we told you put this in to make more money, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, so you can be making money from your hats? And I'm like, of course I'm going to make money from my hats. They're like, well, then you invest in this with your investment money. And I'm like, okay. It was nice just having like my little baggie of like my stash that I had saved up in invest money and being able to use that to buy the yarn and get the needles and get the looms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I really realized the importance of sorting then. And and so then I was making these hats. And
because otherwise you can have an idea and you see a need and now there is an expense in the front end, but what you could get stuck not being able to start the business because you don't have any money to start the business with, right?
Right. Exactly. And so then we were making money. I was getting money from other people. And remember, all of us accomplished the goal that year too. And so we were doing our little Christmas play.
And it was a stretch. I remember everybody worked their butts off.
Oh yeah. It was like up to the last minute.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we were doing our little Christmas play that year and we had people there and they were like doing like $1 tickets, right? To get into our little Christmas play. And so we were doing about the birth of Jesus that year. And I remember at the end of it, we're all giving our bows and all that kind of stuff. And you presented us with all of our matched money. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, all these people know I earned $1,000. This is amazing. Yep. And I remember right after that, we were going to Christmas service at church and all of us kids put together our donate money that we had. And all I remember is us being able to acquire $100 together to donate to the church. And that was the most proud feeling we ever felt. We were like, Mom, we have $100 to go donate to church. And we were like, Dad.
Each.
The first time we went around, it's like $100. And then as we went around, and then like the first time it was $100 together. But then we started making more money. Then it went to like $200 together, right?
Oh, right.
Because we were like saving the money.
Yeah.
And so we were so proud and we were like putting it in the little giving box in kids' church. And that was like one of the best feelings.
Okay. And then the next challenge was, and honestly, this one I knew was going to challenge everybody hard because we were at the end of the year. You just had worked your butts off. Remember, you still have all your other obligations in your life, which is homework and everything else we need you to do around the house.
Right.
And plus just being able to be a kid and have playtime. And now I was like, okay, congratulations. Now next year, the goal is $2,000.
Yeah.
Right? Remember that?
And you should have seen everyone's eyes. They all went big. Like, we just made $1,000. I didn't think we could do that, right? And then we're doubling that. And so we all had to get extremely creative because, I mean, mom and dad weren't going to give us $2,000 for simple house chores, right? And so that's when I really knocked it in with my hat business, right? And I was really being creative of where to sell things. Whenever people came to our house, I was fulfilling all my back orders. I really was rushing to get these hats done because so many people had orders in, right?
I so knew the lesson in this one was going to be, can you break it down into monthly amounts you're making so you don't get behind,
right?
Because if you kind of just dilly-dally for 6 months, now you're trying to make $2,000 in 6 months, you're gonna really struggle. And
I remember all I knew is you discussed it with us like late November that year, and we were being like, Mommy, can I start a month early? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start in.
It was a good negotiation too.
I was like, I'm gonna start in December.
Got yourself an extra month in there.
Exactly. Yeah, and I didn't end up needing the extra month, but we'll get to that. But I remember in December, because we had so much time off of homework during those 2 weeks, that's when I made most of my hats, and I knew that I was going to sell hats most in the winter. And so I wanted that extra month in the winter.
Smart.
Because it's not like you're going to sell hats in the summer. And so I was doing all that, right? And like Abby was crocheting all her stuff, and everyone was making different stuff. And I remember we're getting towards July, August, and in my opinion, it was almost like the final push because I was trying to get this done before December again. And so we're all talking about it, and I knew that all my siblings were behind, and I knew that I was exactly on track because I broke it down to like monthly, weekly, daily, how much I needed to make. I'm calculating every other day, seeing what I have, right? And I knew I had a plan to complete the rest. I had like these big projects I was doing. I was like, okay, I'm going to make this much here. I have this many hats to sell here. I knew I had it in the bag, right? I was like, okay, I just have to complete this now, right? And I had like weekly chores. Like I was like making mom and dad's bed and like dusting their room every day for like 50 cents, right? That adds up every single day for like $50, right? And then at the end of the week, if I vacuumed and cleaned their bathroom, everything like that, I was going to get like $3 for that or something like that. So it added up, and I had all these consistent chores that I got in before my siblings. Remember that? Like I had all these consistent chores, and I was meal prepping for you at the time. Yeah. And not like I really knew how to cook at 11 years old, right? But anyway, it was like around. I remember
you actually did learn, and were pretty good at it.
Yeah. I remember being like, Mom, I can make a cheeseburger on the stove. Like I was so proud of myself for that kind of stuff. I was making like all this kind of stuff, like cauliflower rice and all this kind of broccoli and things like that. And so anyway, we're like at the final push, and I remember one by one, my siblings started dropping out, kind of, like they were like, you know what, they're getting stressed out about it. And not like I blame them because I knew what the stress was like, but I knew also that they weren't going to finish. And I was like, okay, I'm the final one. And so I remember completing it. And I remember calculating on my calculator. It was like November 20th or something. And I remember seeing $2,007, and I showed it to you, and you're like, okay, what's that? Was it a math equation you need my help with? Right? Because I didn't tell you what it was. I said, Dad, this is how much money I earned this year. You were like, really? Because I got it done like a week early, and I was so proud of myself. And it was like the best thing ever, because then there's a picture of me holding like all these $100 bills, right? And everyone else just being like, oh, she's the only one that accomplished it, right? And I just remember being like, okay, if I set my mind to something, even no matter how much I don't think I can do it, I can accomplish that. And that was one of my biggest accomplishments before I turned 12, right? Like during that year, I turned 12 years old. And I remember thinking, I'm always going to look back to this and remember that I can do things when it feels hard. And even though it seemed like a small thing, to me, it was like the biggest thing I'd ever accomplished, right? And so that was really where I felt like I want to be an entrepreneur when I grow up, because I want this feeling of being able to give a lot to church. And I want this feeling of having a ton of my investment money so I can serve people. And I wanted this feeling of, if I wanted to give my talents as a gift to someone, if I wanted to give hats to someone as a Christmas present, I want to have the money to invest in that. And I wanted to also have, because you know what I did is I had all my money. I took, because it was $4,000 total. What I did is I sorted everything, and then I left whatever, $300 in my spending only to spend, and I saved $2,000 of it. I had no idea what I was going to do with it, but I saved it. And I remember, and all my siblings were like, why don't you spend it? You have so much money. But I remember I always kept myself consistent. I never touched that money. And to this day, I still have that $2,000 in my wallet. And I have no idea what I'm going to use it for. But I always had this such assuring feeling, I'm going to save this for whatever I'm going to do next.
Wow. It's almost like you're setting yourself up to have a reminder that you can do anything.
Yeah.
And so that money sitting there always reminds you of it.
Right. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to invest this in something that's going to make me more money. I don't know if I'm going to wait till I want a really, really huge reward. Right. I don't know. I never knew what I was going to do with it. But to this day, I haven't touched the money.
So what's the next challenge? What happened after that?
Well, after that, Actually, we didn't have like a $3,000 challenge or whatever because I think we gave everyone a break because so many of them dropped out. But like then we like started doing all kinds of stuff, and I remember being like, I don't want to be done yet. I don't want to be done earning this money, right? And so that's when I got my new idea, right, of Super Kids. And I was like, okay, so
I'll back you up because you probably don't remember this part. But what the intention was after that, and I probably only talked to you about it because I didn't talk to the other kids too much about it yet, just because they still have to complete these challenges, right? And Mom and I talked about it. We're okay. Everybody's got a little different personality and obligations, but I'm actually going to bring this up again this year to give kids whatever they didn't do yet. I don't know if everybody got the $1,000 challenge.
No. Oh, no. I think everyone. Okay. So what happened is us 3 older girls got $1,000. Drew and Ellie both got $500.
Okay.
So they both have to do the 1,000. The girls have to do 2,000.
And they got to do 2,000. And so this year I'm gonna present it again.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's really busy with a lot of stuff, but I don't care. It's part of just learning how to manage yourself and figure it out. And so, but with you, after somebody hits the $2,000 mark, then it was like, okay, now we'll actually help you launch a business that can scale.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I forgot about that.
Right? But you needed to graduate. I really wanted you to learn the lesson of how to just go figure out how to manage your schedule enough and do whatever it took, whatever kind of tasks it was, in order to actually just make $2,000.
You were teaching me how to make active income.
And then I also wanted you to realize that you get maxed out with active income.
Yeah.
Right? There's only so many hours in a day. So
that.
for me to say you need to go do $5,000 now, it's almost like with everything else we had going on and the kind of stuff you were doing, it's like you realize, I don't even know if that's possible.
Exactly, yeah.
Unless we start doing things that can scale.
And you taught us about passive income.
And this was the lesson of, okay, now we gotta start learning how to do businesses that scale.
Yeah.
And that's where it launched the birth of Super Kids, which we're going to talk about in the next episode. Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.